We're live.
Got it. Good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day. This is March 17th, 2023, and we're taking up S89, a bill that has to do with the forensics facility. And Katie McCann is here. She has exactly 1/2 hour. So we're going to get started with her walkthrough of the final, maybe not final, but at least the latest draft, which is
3.1.
3.1. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Please,
Good morning.
go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Katie McGlenn, Office of Legislative Counsel. I'm going to share the latest draft on the screen. So when we last met to discuss this, the committee asked for several changes. So those changes are highlighted in this draft, and I'll walk you through each of them. The first was a change requested by the Department of Mental Health in Section 1, the definition of forensic facility. They asked for the addition of the word initially. So it would read that a forensic facility means a residential facility licensed as a therapeutic community residence for an individual initially committed pursuant to the two subdivisions. So that is the first change. And then Dale asked for several changes in their sections of the bill. That's in the second half of the bill. So I'll bring us there. Okay, so the first of Dale's changes is in Section 9. This section would read that if the court finds that such a person is a person in need of custody care and rehabilitation, as defined in 18 VSA 8839, the court shall issue an order of commitment directed to the commissioner for placement in a designated program in the least restrictive environment consistent with a person's needs for custody, care, and rehabilitation for an indefinite or limited period. That's the first change.
So that leaves it up to the commissioner which facility to use, correct?
This language is giving a directive that the person has to be placed in the least restrictive setting in conformity with Olmsted. And also we're reorganizing this language about an indefinite or limited period. So that is the change that's happening there.
Yep, thank you.
Next change. Okay, here's the next change. This is also from Dale. That if at the completion of the hearing and consideration of the record, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that at the time of the hearing, the person is still in need of continued custody care and rehabilitation, commitment shall continue in a designated program in the least restrictive environment consistent with the person's need for custody care and rehabilitation. So this is a conforming change with the previous change you saw, that the person is in the least restrictive setting. And then there's the addition of a new subsection G. In addition, in determining whether a person is in need of continued custody care and rehabilitation, the court shall consider the degree to which the person has engaged in or complied with the treatment and supervision provided by the commissioner. So that is a new addition. And then we get to Section 18, which has been where much of the committee's consideration has been focused. The last draft you saw had a memorandum of understanding between the Departments of Mental Health and of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living with regard to the admission criteria for individuals entering the forensic facility. When the committee last met, the committee chose to see language in this draft with a rulemaking process instead of an MOU process. So that's what you have in front of you. And this draft tries to combine the elements that we've been discussing about least restrictive setting, making a clinical determination whether the person should be treated or have programming in a forensic facility, and also trying to pull out some of the elements with regards to the person's status of their case. For example, whether the person is charged with a violent crime for which they're not eligible for bail. So I'll walk you through the language, but this draft is sort of an effort to weave those elements together. So in subsection A, by July 1 of 2023, the Secretary of Human Services, in consultation with the Department of Mental Health and Dale, shall file an initial proposed rule with the Secretary of State specifying the criteria that the department shall use to determine the admission to a forensic facility and the process used by the commissioners to determine appropriate admissions. I'm just going to pause there and explain that it's not anticipated that the rules will be adopted on July 1, 2023. But this language says that the first filing to start the rulemaking process has to begin on July 1 by 2023. So this is giving a time frame and directing the Agency of Human Services to initiate the process sooner rather than later with regard to rulemaking. In terms of guidance that you're giving as to what you would like to see in these rules, the admission criteria and process shall ensure that an individual is served in the least restrictive setting necessary to meet the needs of the individual. Second, an individual's treatment and programming needs dictate that the treatment or programming be provided in an intensive residential level in a forensic facility. And an individual only receives treatment or programming within a forensic facility if the individual has demonstrated a significant risk of dangerousness, such as inflicting or attempting to inflict serious bodily injury on another, attempting suicide or serious self-injury, or committing an act that would constitute a sexual assault or lewd and lascivious conduct with a child, and there is reasonable probability that the conduct will be repeated if admission to a forensic facility is not ordered. Or threatening to inflict serious bodily injury to the individual or on others, and there is reasonable probability that the person will occur, that the conduct will occur if admission to a forensic facility is not ordered. Or obtaining results on any applicable evidence-based violence risk assessment tool showing the individual's behavior is deemed a significant risk to others. Or finally, being charged with a felony offense involving an act of violence against another person for which bail may be withheld. So that is the criteria that you're asking the departments to address, and you're giving them a framework to address in rulemaking. And then in subsection B, it says that the department shall not admit residents to a forensic facility until a permanent rule has been adopted pursuant to this section. So basically saying that the rule has to be in place and this admission criteria has to be in place before the forensic facility can accept individuals. And that is it for changes in this draft.
Thank you, Katie. With Katie's limited time with the committee this morning, I wonder, are there any questions for Katie? And I got to change my view here. Are there any questions for Katie on the bill? I think I want to make sure that everybody understands that while we're allowing the rulemaking process, we are putting in kind of a standards of who could be admitted and who could not be admitted. So everybody okay with that? Is there any comments from anybody in the audience who would like to comment on any part of the bill? Well, Katie's still with us. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt draft 3.1?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Senator.
Do you want me to try and get Senator Baruth here?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Hold on, let me. It's texting Ashley. Oh, maybe this is him. No.
No.
No. It's Matt Valerio.
Bonus, not Valerio.
Do you want,
You could get luckier.
I've been texting Ashley, do you want me to take a run down to the office?
Yeah, we've got a few minutes, so.
Let me
Text
go down
Ashley.
real quick and see if I can find him.
Rachel.
Okay, well, we'll just
She can actually see
take a-
the screen and not,
short recess.
when John Campbell was on the committee, he was not, in the room, but he was a leader, you know? When I was sitting in the seat. And, you know, he liked that.
All right, come on. I found him. Oh, now Senator Sears is gone.
You look busy.
All right, Senator Ruth is here.
We have a motion to report favorably S-89 as amended in draft 3.1. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Peggy, could you please call the roll?
Senator Baruth. Yes. Senator Norris.
Yes.
Senator Bihowski. Yes. Senator Hashim.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes. Is there anybody who'd like to report this? All right, well, this was one of the great things about having Senator White on the committee last year. She reported anything to do with mental health. I'm going to try to do the job, but I'm sure I won't be able to do as good a job as she did. So Katie, I'm going to need all the help in the world with a section by section report on this bill.
Sure, I'll put one together for you.
I thank you.
Sorry. Does this have to do with the editing or is this the final?
It's been edited, but it's still editing, so I'll have to take that
I
out.
know that health and welfare is going to,
Okay, thank you.
I know that health and welfare is going to want to take a look at this bill. And so I'm sure, you know, they may even offer some changes. So we'll give them the opportunity, but we made the deadline and so, yeah, I'll be happy to report it. And again, I realize that it'll have a road to travel. Thank you all for the unanimous vote on this bill. It's tremendously important, I think, that we deal with this subject. Peggy, our next, Katie, I know you have to get going to another meeting, but thank you again for all your hard work on this. And I know it wasn't easy. And we were always short-timed on this bill and the S-70, whatever other 91, I believe it is.
Welcome back to help. Good luck with the rest of your morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next, Mark?
So we don't have any right now, S-27 at 9:30.
Oh, God. I hate to take a long break. But
Efficient.
what's that?
I think you guys are so efficient.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect it to be. Well, we had to do Katie,
Yours.
but yeah, we had no choice with Katie because her schedule only allowed us to be with us. So can you see if you can get S-27? That's already, that's the bail bill. And can we see if we can get Michelle whoever's doing it a little earlier?
I can try, let's see. The only thing I worry about, never mind.
Well, actually, I'm gonna just keep my words to myself.
Stop.
Yeah, I was about to say something really silly.
I doubt it. And
I don't know if you know the superstition, when I used to do some social work in the ED, you're not supposed to ever say quiet, like, oh, it's a quiet night tonight. I was about to do something along those lines.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
So,
the full moon was always my exciting night.
yeah.
Yeah, everything was okay until I said something.
Well, I was about to say something that might have, so I'm glad I didn't.
Why don't we take a 15-minute break and come back and try to see if Michelle can be here a little bit early.
She just emailed me back that she cannot join us until 9:20, the earliest.
All right, well, let's take a break till 9:20 then.
Okay.
Hate to do that to everybody, but it's scheduled